and hadn't been able to bring her out of it. I was young, and there are no qualifications for being a stage hypnotist. That certainly would have been the end of my career, just because she'd drunk too much. As it was, I was never hired there again, not even to do magic tricks. Every stage hypnotist has to deal with this sort of thing, and whether the fatality that sparked the campaign was really connected with the hypnotism to the extent that the hypnotist should be blamed is something that will never be ascertained. However, I do think that the question of responsibility is an important one. Stage hypnotists are understandably very eager to defend themselves by saying that it's all fun and make-believe and no damage can be caused. I don't think that's quite right, even though I largely agree with the behavioural approach to understanding these performances. The problem stems from the nature of the shows. Sadly, it's not difficult to perform stage hypnosis, and many people are attracted to it who clearly have no sense of taste or responsibility. While it may be hysterical to see your friends stripping to music blaring from a ghetto blaster in the corner of a pub, or grown men crying like babies because they think they've just watched the saddest film in the world, this unfortunate focus on embarrassment and low-level humour brings with it certain issues. Primarily, the hypnotist is unlikely, even if he knew how to in the first place, to be at all sensitive to any discomfort shown by his participants. And at the end of the show, he will probably want to lose them quickly from the stage without taking care to make sure they're completely happy and feeling fine. If a subject has been humiliated on stage, or has any reason to resent the hypnotist or find the show upsetting in retrospect, it's quite understandable that she might complain of after effects such as depression or paranoia. If, perhaps after a few drinks and trying to keep up with rapid repeated sleep and wake instructions, she feels like a confused and disorientated human yo-yo, she might develop headaches or keep falling asleep after the show is over. Equally, it may be that one of the instructions given on stage and dutifully carried out by the subject with strong emotional involvement in front of a baying audience has left the subject feeling disturbed. During a television investigation for and against stage hypnotism, one woman told of how she'd been instructed on stage to look everywhere for her breast, which she couldn't find. And she searched in a state of urgency and worry, imaginatively acting out the instruction and really getting into her role. She spoke afterwards of the traumatic scenario of trying to communicate her panic at the time to her husband, only to find out that he just laughed along with everybody else and didn't help her. She was seemingly left with a haunting fear that she might have to have a mastectomy one day and that her husband would find the whole thing hysterical. The irony is that a hugely entertaining hypnotic demonstration could be carried out without recourse to embarrassment or crudity. In fact, from my experience, a vicarious sense of embarrassment felt by the audience only weakens the show, although of course this depends on your audiences. Personally, I find it excruciating to be sat in an audience that is screaming with laughter at the plight of some poor chap on stage who is clearly upset at some suggested event. As this subjective question of taste is too closely related to the question of avoiding dangerous scenarios, I find it difficult to consider objectively what the best approach to regulating stage hypnosis should be. But certainly it seems wrong that the argument of hypnosis isn't real, in inverted commas, should absolve the hypnotist of all responsibility towards the welfare of his participants. If a hypnotist were able to say to the audience, "If you come up, please just play along with everything," it might be argued that the subject should then be responsible themselves. However, given that he's going to manipulate, bully, or cajole rather vulnerable people into anything from playing along to really living out what he suggests, and in a way that might be very confusing or unsettling for them, there is a sense in which one should not just immediately decide that he can walk away from any duty of care. Now, perhaps one might argue that according to that logic, a magician should then be held responsible if a participant in a card trick takes the magic...